Welcome to WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. Of course, I kind of got right into what is our event that will be taking place this weekend, but I want to begin really by having a toast. So if you've got your favorite adult beverage, mine is they know how I roll, my Cabernet Sauvignon. I've been sharing with you these different vineyards if you want to have water or whatever. But I got a question in the chat. How many of you are here for the very first time? If you're just put first in the chat, if you're here for the very first time, because I want to give you a shout out. Because you're probably wondering, what are these people talking about? Well, oh, excellent, Cynthia. Well, welcome. Let's give Cynthia a warm welcome, team. Warm welcome. Who else? Yeah, Cynthia, I see you. And thanks for turning on your camera, because that's how I get to know people in these virtual street. Carla Wynn, first time? Really? Okay. Yeah, let's welcome our sisters into the sisterhood. So good evening, everybody. I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU. Oh, Felicia. Oh, we got a lot. First, wow, Denise, you met me on the Time Joiner cruise, honey. That has been a minute. And the funny thing is, one of those pictures just came up on my timeline. Terry and I were at the white party, and Tom had flew in. Who else was in there? Tyler Perry and all of his entourage and his actresses, and Roland Martin was there, of course, and we were doing line dances in the water. It was ridiculous, but that was a lot of fun. So thanks. That's a great. Denise is like, yes, that's right. So welcome, everybody. WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday is where weekly I come on and I really try to share the insights that we're gaining in the community itself. So in WealthyU, we focus on helping first generations wealth builders accelerate their financial growth. That is the goal. And so how many would love to drink some wine and build wealth at the same time? How's that sound in the chat? Does that sound good? Well, that's why WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday is so important. Because let me just give a toast to all of you. How many of you get anxious? How many of you get anxious when it comes to managing your money? If that's you, put yes in the chat. If you get anxious if you have to go on to your retirement account and look at it and you're like, I think I'm doing okay, right? Is that you? So Felicia says yes, Kimberly says yes, Sandra says yes, yes. And so in WealthyU, what we have created is a no judgment zone. Okay, a no judgment zone where you can come, you can be transparent about what you don't know, and you can learn. Okay, you can learn. But because we have some first timers in here, I think what I want to do is I just want to give you the why of why I created WealthyU and why literally every week we have training on analyzing and researching stocks, analyzing and researching mutual funds, building your seven-figure blueprint. I mean, we have some stuff going on. And Janet says, yes, I do get anxious, and you're in WealthyU, so I don't want you getting anxious because you should know. But child, you can know exactly what to do and still get anxious. So thank you for being transparent. And so Deborah King says, I do. And the reason, in fact, I was talking to a new member today, and she was talking about, well, I don't know. I feel like I should be, I'm conservative, right? So most of you are conservative. And you know why you're conservative? Anybody want to guess? Why, when someone says, oh, you want to invest, what kind of investment do you want to do? Why do you think you say conservative? Anybody want to guess?
Don't know what we doing.
Don't know what we doing. Okay, Antoinette. That's it. Leave it for my sister friend in Detroit to break that down for us, right? That's right. And so when we don't know what to do and we feel we're going to make a mistake, we say, give me the low risk option. Okay? Have you ever been approached that way? Someone said. But what I want you to know that the fact is that what I have learned and I think many of the members in WealthyU will agree, what I said to that member, I said, okay, enter where you're comfortable at. But I already know once you gain the experience and the knowledge, what do you think happens? People go from, that's right, we were taught to be conservative. That is very true. And Carla, you're absolutely right. We've been burnt in the past. So the fact is that what I see in WealthyU, and I'm sure I'm gonna pick on Janet for just a minute. Janet was analyzing, and Marriott, she know too. So they analyzing the debt. We building these portfolios, and she like, I don't know. I'll wait. Like, Miss Dad, wait a minute. What we gonna do? So once she really got the hang of it, man, the more aggressive she became. And I was looking at her portfolio. I was like, oh, okay. I see you. You not only invested in mutual funds, you got your little defensive dividend growth portfolio. Am I lying? Janet, I'm telling the truth. And so the point I want to say to you ladies is that the more experience you get, the more risk you'll take, right? But it really does come back to your what do I want to say, your internal model, right? And so the point that I was making is I want for you guys to understand why the way we've set up WealthyU, why it's been created this way, and just a little backstory. And I shared this with the folks who were on our pre-event training last night, but I thought it would be wonderful to share it with all of you. Here's what I want you to know is that the reason you're fearful is because you never got access to the right blueprint, right? So I talked about the fact that some of you have BAs. How many of you got BAs? You got bachelor's degrees, you got master's degrees, you got PhDs, you got BSN. Some of you have, multiple degrees. If you're multiple degree, put me in the chat. And yet what I know is the most important thing, that's right, Sharon, BS, Makeda, me, I think, Makeda, you got a JD over there, right? Paula says me. And so the thing is that we never get access to the information that high net worth individuals, and those are people with $1 million or more. And so here's what I want you to understand. And I'm really setting up this conversation tonight around why so many of you are missing out on millions. So watch the tape. Right, that's my end. And so what I want you to know is that the Legacy Wealth Blueprint was developed with some blood, sweat, and tears, right? Like, what I want you to know is this weekend is a culmination of a dream that I had, that I could transfer the knowledge and the insight that I got from being at a Fidelity Investments, being in the investment industry for 20 years, being with high net worth individuals and seeing that they had a different blueprint, that I could transfer that knowledge to you. But then the question became how, right? In fact, I was on a call with someone and their advisor was there. and he was trying to explain his plan to them. And it was the most convoluted stuff, and I just had to interpret. It's like, well, what he really means is la 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 la. And he was like, yeah, that's what I mean, Deb. That's what I mean. I'm like, well, why didn't you just say that? Right? And so I just want you guys to know that the challenge for me has really been making this information accessible, but not dumbing it down. You guys understand what I'm saying? So I know for those of you who are members already, the process that you learn how to analyze and research mutual funds is the same process that Morningstar uses to get those 4 and 5 stars. But now you know the process of how they got that information. So what I want you to understand, guys, so this takes me right back to why so many of you are so conservative, right? You're conservative because you never got exposed to that information. But listen, once the information, what I'm most excited about now is that first I had to say, okay, how do I do it? And then we came up with a framework where we could apply this in community, where you all are literally in WealthyU, you're sharing not your personal information, but you're sharing the rationale about how you're coming to evaluate and decide the investment programs, okay? Your investment programs. But the reason I'm alarmed, you guys, is because I heard this statistic this morning. And I said, and I've actually posted about it. So if you're not following me on LinkedIn, I've been pretty more consistent. I'm not going to say every day, but I have been more consistent about posting on LinkedIn. But this thing came across my feed and it said that the average retirement savings account was $88,000. And I was like, whoa, right? Now, how many of you in the chat think you could retire on $88,000? Huh? How many of you in the chat, tell me if you could, yes or no, right? Can you retire on 88? Tanisha says I can't. No, 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 no. And so, but check this out. That's right. No, absolutely not. But that's the median, that's the average. And then I saw this other stat that said the average Social Security check for women was $1,700. Are y'all with me? But then I said, okay, if that's the median, not even Social Security at 2,000, that's right. So, but then I said, okay, so if that's the median for everybody else, I mean, for everybody, what is it for Black women and women of color? And if you want to talk about something that just really, really alarmed me, I need y'all to look at these numbers. Now, y'all know, in the people in WealthyU know I like showing numbers rather than telling you. And so basically what this chart is showing is the average retirement wealth for Black women and others. Okay? So Black is the blue line, right? So the median for us is like 12,000 for women and 19,000 for men. And so just know that that's a median, right? So you got some people at the very high, but the problem is we have far too many of you at the very low. And so it pulls these numbers down. And so anybody want to guess? Anybody want to guess how you can change those numbers? Anybody want to guess in the chat? How do you change those numbers? How do you change those numbers? That's right. That's right. Increase knowledge. Invest wisely and aggressively. Increase knowledge. That's right. Invest, invest, invest. Listen, here's what I want you to know is that in the past decade, right, our average retirement is $88,000. But what do you think the wealthy and the high net worth who have the right blueprint, what do you think their assets grew to in the last decade? In the last decade, the people in the highest 25th percentile, right? Top, I'm not even talking 1%. Their assets grew by 40%. So I got another question for you. Why do you think that is? Why do you think their assets are growing more rapidly than ours are? So Tanisha says investing and having generational knowledge. Yes, Felicia. Thank you. Listen, here's what I want y'all to know is that it is through no fault of your own. Listen, you guys did all the right things. You did just like me. My mother did everything, sacrifice, get a good education. I mean, that's what we were told to do. And so what we were also told was that the more education, the more money we would make. Any, agree or disagree with me? How many of you were told, if that was the blueprint you were given, put yes in the chat, right? Okay. So what I want you to know is you were given the wrong blueprint. And what happens is when you're given the right blueprint, magic happens. Now, I'm going to just put some of my members on Front Street. For those of you who have been in WealthyU for at least a year, some of you have been in here 2 years, 3 years. I saw Belinda. Belinda is my OG. She's been hanging with me a long, long time. But have your investments increase more rapidly. I want to ask you what your personal rate of return would, but I'm not going to put you really on Front Street. But okay, have your investments accelerate. Maddie says yes. Deborah says yes. Paula says yes. Rhonda Anderson says yes. Kimberly says yes. So what I want you to know is that we are missing out on millions. And the reason we're missing out on millions is because we're not investing. We're being too conservative. We're putting our money in investments that have, you know, the average investors, you know what they earn? What do you think the average return the average investor earns when they don't have knowledge? Anybody, what percent? 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 3%. Yeah, Makeda, you're being generous. The number is actually 2%. And the reason I want to call that to your attention because that's where, remember that video where the money resides? Y'all remember? I was talking about where the money resides. What I want you to understand is your lack of knowledge and your inaction and your having the wrong blueprint is costing you dearly, costing you dearly. And, you know, again, the other point I want to make is that for, hold on, I want to pull this up. Uh-oh, it is just not cooperating. So what's going on there? Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm just going to talk through it. So all I'm going to tell you is you're earning 2%, that average, and putting your little money in your 401k. Your money will take, using the rule of 72, divide 2 into 72, 36 years to double. But what is happening, what I am seeing in WealthyU, and you guys, I would love for you to comment in the chat for those of you who are members. Many of you, when you looked at your, initially you came in and looked at your portfolio, your average was right about 2-3%. Some of you were negative returns. If that's true in the chat, let me know. Whereas in just getting the right blueprint, you were able to go in and then identify the investments, become more aggressive, stop being fearful of the market, and your money goes up.
Yes.
Right, Linda? What you say? Yes, right? And that's what I mean by leaving millions on the table. Most of you would already, that's right, Belinda, in the negative. That's right, Linda. You know, we looked at when you started to evaluate your portfolio, it took your breath away. And some of those investments you had been in for over a decade. So what I want you all to know is that many of you are playing not to lose, so you cannot win. That's right. And thank you, Rosalind, because so much of that, right? So much of that fear of risk, so much of that anxiety is steeped in to your lack of knowledge, right? And so you go on in there, many of you are just picking whatever fund they say, and you know, I got to give it to these investment companies. They want you to push the easy button. Y'all remember the Staples easy button? Staples easy button where you just push the easy button in retirement and investments is your life cycle or your target funds. I see Mona over there laughing at me because she knows this of what I speak. Right? And so that easy button where you don't have to make a decision and, you know, they just tell you we're going to invest it for you based on your age. And when you get retired, that the money is going to move around based on how old, as you get older. But the problem with that is what many of you don't know is it's costing you a fortune, right? And so who is ready to get the right blueprint? Okay, so if you're ready to get the right blueprint, put yes in the chat. If you could actually think about how much further you would be if the return on your investments were 2% rather than 10%, man, that's what I mean by money making money. Because here's the other thing that I think oftentimes we get wrong is the power of compounding, right? So when you're compounding at a higher rate of return, if you already got 100,000 and now you put in 10%, then in less than 6 to 7 years, that's going to be 200,000. So now you're compounding on 200,000. Y'all following me in the chat? If you're following me, put I'm tracking, put tracking, right? Are you tracking with me? So what I want you to know, the reason that compounding is so important is because that's right, exponential growth. Thank you, Kim, right? So exponential growth. So I don't want to leave any woman behind. And initially, we were not going to have virtual. And we simply invested in it. So all I got to know, want you guys to know is that to bring the Legacy Wealth Blueprint to you virtually, we had to make an investment. But what I know is that our community is all over the country, and some of you are out of the country. And so I don't want you to miss this opportunity. And so if you haven't signed up for the Legacy Wealth event, at least virtually, get the virtual. Now, I know y'all are busy, but you're actually going to get a recording. You're going to get a recording. You're going to get a workbook. You're going to get the Wealth Secrets book. You're going to get everything that you need to accelerate your financial growth. Listen, some of you are running out of time. You got less time in front of you than you do behind you. And I consider myself one of those, right? But what I want you to know is that for those of you in WealthyU, how long does it take for you to see an impact? Once you get to this information, how long did it take you? Did it take you 6 months? Did it take you a year? How long did it take you for you to start seeing your money compounding? I just want you to think about that for a minute. You get this information, you start applying it, and then what do your returns do? Right? For some of you, here's what I'm going to say. For some of you, it's almost immediate. Almost immediate. You know, and the other thing that, so we've got the Legacy Wealth event in the chat, You need to be in the room. We're going to open the doors at 8 o'clock. You're going to be in there. We got you. You're going to be listening to the music. You're not going to be all bored at home. We got Star Babatune is going to make sure that you're able to interact with the folks in the chat. You're going to be doing your workbook. But here's the most important thing, and this is what I'm so proud of, guys, is that I just saw Belinda come back in. You're going to be hearing from folks like Belinda who, you know, have been through some ups and downs, but have been able to apply this information and make an impact for herself and her family. What I want you to know is that wealth is not about the money. It's the ability to weather storms. And so we're going to have some conversations about that. You're going to hear from people like Dia Wynn, who, when she started, she felt like, Deb, I don't know, this sounds so complicated. How many of you feel like this is too complicated and you don't have enough time? And that's why you never invested. If that's you, put yes in the chat. If you said it's too complicated and ain't nobody got time for that, put me in the chat. So I just want to go over, Rosalind, getting back to mindset. And then, okay, Rosalind says, I feel like it's too late. That's right. That's the other thing. Here's what I want you to know is that, in fact, my friend just sent me this book, and it's called The 100-Year Life. So who's ready for me to expand their thinking about what's possible? You put expansion in there. Put it, if you want to expand the thinking of what's possible for you, put expansion. So here's what I want all of you to know. That our mind is constantly telling us to run for safety, to don't take risks. You don't have any time. You can't afford to do that. If you do that, you're going to lose money. Anybody have that person in their head? Anybody? If that's you, put me in the chat, right? Like I'm going to tell y'all, and I've coached many of you, you will talk yourself out of everything. Now, let me tell you why that's true. It's physiological safety. That's how we were trained, right? It's psychological to be risk averse, especially if you have no experience, right? Like if you have no experience, if you don't, like, again, last night I said, your socioeconomic condition is the average of the 5 people you're spending most of your time with. And it's so funny. I was just telling my husband this. We wanted to downsize. And so we had some friends and they were saying, well, yeah, let's go over here. Let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'll downsize to a point, you know what I'm saying? But I have to have a certain environment. And I said, you know what? Those numbers sound great, but that's not going to work for me. You see what I'm saying? Like for me, I want to wake up and I want to be inspired in my environment. Are y'all with me? Are y'all like that? And what I found, you know, what I found is the more I enhance my environment, the more creative I am. And so the point that I'm making is you got all the naysayers around you, and that's why you're not taking risks. Are y'all with me? You know, and here's the other point. And so while my friend, it would have been the worst thing we ever did. I want to say, you know, our property went up $1 gazillion and whatever, but that's because we were with another group who were like, no, you got to reach out. You got to do this. You got to do that. You know, you got to position yourself to prosper. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm all about. I'm about wealth. how I'm gonna be looking, downsizing my thinking. And so the point that I want to make, you guys, is the reason that you're risk averse, the reason that you're fearful, okay, is because you are with other people who have the same doubts, fears. Are y'all with me? And familiarity breeds contempt. And when you come back and you're talking about WealthyU and you're talking about joining WealthyU, or you're talking about the investment that you made in WealthyU, and you're talking about stocks and you're talking about mutual funds, and they're just looking at you like, why you got to talk about that all the time? Any of my folks in WealthyU, do you ever get that? Like, I even had somebody on my Facebook page tell me, why do you always talk about wealth? I'm like, well, if you don't like what I'm talking about, get off of my Facebook page. You see what I'm saying? Like, I want you to know, some of y'all need to hear this. People are either for you or they're not. Okay? And so if you have people around you where you're saying you want to grow, you want to expand, you want to invest, you want to build a portfolio, you want to invest in stock, you want to have property, you want to, build a development, you want to go into an investment with other people, early stage investing. When you have those desires, and other people don't even have an inkling about even the possibility of that, what do you think they're going to say to you? Right? So I want you to know how you know if people are for you. They will encourage you. Are you with me? And they will say things like, well, girl, I'm afraid, but you go ahead. And if it's okay, I want to be involved too. Okay? That person is for you. Okay. Now they might not go with you. That's all I want you to know. So you are going to have to make some of these decisions on your own. But what I want you to know is if you start talking about expansion and all the things that you want to learn and do, and you have people, girl, the last time you did that, you lost money. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to that been burnt. Right. And, so they'll start picking at you about all the things that you did that didn't turn out. And here's what I want all of you to understand, and this is critical. And this is our mantra in WealthyU. We never lose. We either win or we learn. Are y'all with me? So what I want you to know is you cannot make a mistake if you learn from it. And if you're not making mistakes, if you're not taking risks, if you're not on the front of your tippy toes, learning new things, then you're not going to grow. You literally are dying. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. And so what I want you to know, that's what this event is about. It's about getting you out of your comfort zone. The way we explain it in WealthyU is, do you want to be in a circle or do you want to be in a cage? Are y'all with me? That's a Nipsey Hussle quote. Do you want to be in a circle where like-minded people, and you will have living proof right in front of you this weekend?
I want to show a picture.
You are going to meet people just like you who were sitting at one point on WealthyU Wind Down, or maybe they came to a Get Wealthy Challenge. All of my team, that's how they came to WealthyU. Whether it's Mona, whether it's Anita, they started with the challenge. They were real reluctant. And then they saw the impact that this had on their own lives. And they became ambassadors and facilitators. And now in WealthyU, women are accelerating to their first 6 figures, their first 7 figures, and beyond. And what I want you to know is This legacy wealth blueprint that you are getting access to and that the women in WealthyU programs have access to, it literally is if you follow that blueprint, it's the right blueprint. There are levels to it. I'm going to talk about that on Saturday. I'm going to talk about the steps that you need to take in order to move from fear to fortune. I mean, I don't want you to think that you are going to see that in living color. Literally, in my book, Wealth Secrets, the women are literally walking out of those pages and they're going to be in front of you. And they're going to be sharing with you their fears, right? Their anxiousness, the mistake that they made, the calls that I got from every one of them when the market went down, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. I said, well, you know what? We can buy at lower price. And they'll be like, okay, Miss Deb, that's why you need community. Are you with me? And so community allowed them to stay the course, to get the support that they needed. So based on what I said tonight, I want somebody else to share. Based on what I just shared, what are you discovering? Some of you have been coming to WealthyU Wind Down. Some of you are in WealthyU. Raise your hand. You can put it in the chat. But what has been the major insight that you have gained by being in this community?
This is Natalie.
Hey,
Can you-
Natalie.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
So I have to say, so I'm the insurance agent. So generally we're pretty conservative. And
Oh, yeah.
I had a retirement account that I let Edward Jones manage. But after joining WealthyU, I got real intentional and I was evaluating all of my investments and telling the guy where to put my money at. And so I realized we had stuff in there that was like under 10% return. So I got more comfortable and told him where to put my money. I also opened another investment account myself. And, you know, I think we went over the mutual fund a few weeks ago too that I was interested in. So I actually purchased that. And I also got more comfortable with buying individual stocks. So I was playing around with, you know, with the Charles Schwab account that I've had for a couple of years. And I have literally overhauled my investments and we're pretty close to six figures in my stock account. So I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm
Yes. And Natalie, what would you say to, and the interesting thing, what I love about you, Natalie has her Series 6, right? Like she is an insurance agent. And the fact is that what do you think about our process that we teach in WealthyU about how to actually evaluate and manage your investments?
So not only do I have the 6, we have like the 63 to 65. So we passed all these tests, but we really weren't taught how to put the knowledge to use. And the way that you have how we evaluate mutual funds and stocks is it's systematic, it's easy to evaluate, and it's easy for you to make a decision if this is something where you want to put your money in or not, and not have to depend on an advisor per se. So it makes you independent and confident.
I love that, Natalie. And the point that I made with you is it's a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Because now you can talk with more authority with your clients, right, about these investments. So let's give Natalie a hand. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
Thank
this
you.
is what happens, lady, when you get the right blueprint. Let me have 2 more shares. Come on out of the woodwork. Okay, Portia. Oh no, you're just clapping. Who wants to share? Anybody wants to share? I want to take 2. Okay, go ahead, Makeda.
So I'm at the beginning of the WealthyU journey, but it started 2 years ago, just to reiterate, when I had my first Wealth Ignition session with you, Deborah, and you told me you need to make more money so you can make more money. and, um, and I never forgot that. It stayed in the back of my mind. 2 years later, I'm making more money. I signed up for the WealthyU event. I've been coming to the Wind Down Wednesdays, and I feel like I can feel a shift occurring. And I know that next year, this time, I will be able to share a story the way Natalie is sharing, like that. It really is inspiring to me that my financial life will look different a year from now. And I'm just super excited about it. Just seems like one thing leads to the next, leads to the next. It's like ever since I signed up for the legacy, wealth legacy event coming up this weekend, it's like information has just been coming. It just feels like things are just aligning, and so I'm just excited. I'm excited and I'm ready. I'm ready because I know what I don't know has been hurting me, and I'm tired of being hurt by what I don't know. So
I
that's the
love that, Natalie. Thanks so much. Let's give Natalie a hand. You know, it's so funny. So I can I be straight with y'all? Because all of my members know Natalie too. I'm kind of straight with no chaser, y'all. Like I have such a sense of urgency about your financial well-being that listen, it's gonna be like, okay, let's get it, right? But what you're not going to do is devalue yourself. And so what I want you guys to know is some of you are not making enough money. So that is something you learn in WealthyU. And in fact, at the event, you're going to hear from an amazing woman. And the second chapter is superpower, second wealth secret. And you're going to hear from a woman. Not only did she turn her skill set, right, into a profit center, but what she has also been responsible is helping in WealthyU alone. Our members get over $1 million in student loan debt forgiven. In fact, I think Tamika was on here. Tamika was one of those. Linda Fagans. I mean, I can go down the line. And so the other thing I want you to know is the power of the network, right? That's the power of the network. Guys, you see the Legacy Wealth event here. I'm going to give you guys another challenge. I know for some of you, you need to have other folks in the room. Some of you have daughters and you know that they would be really give value for it. That's value from this program because they have to make a mind shift. Here's what I want you to know. You know, you look on social media and you see these people, they in cars, they're in this, they doing that, they taking pictures, they over in Greece, they got, y'all understand what I'm saying? How many of you have been watching that on social media? And so what I want you to know is that is not wealth. What I want you to know is that real wealth is quiet. You will not see it when it comes in the door, right? It's not showing all this, all that, doing all that, right? All the things. But for so many of you, what you really need is community. And there's power in it. There are networks in it. You know, we have people who bought their first investment property, bought their first second home, invested in rich is loud, wealth is quiet. Tell it, Tanisha. And so the point that I want to make is the most important thing that you will gain from WealthyU is the shift. Listen, everything that we've been taught about being a financial success has been wrong. The fact is, we were taught to buy the things. In WealthyU, you're going to learn how to invest in the things. You're going to learn how to take that income and make that income and turn that income into assets that are going to work for you. And so with that, I told my husband, I'm tired. I'm not going to do this till 9 o'clock. Look at me, y'all. I'm still here because I want y'all to win. Listen, if you want to win at wealth, we've got a great track record in the chat. Join if you can't make it. Now, we do have a 1-day VIP if you are in the DMV area. We still got room for you. Some of you, if you just want to do the Legacy Wealth event virtually, you need to be in the room. I promise you, it will be the greatest return on investment you will ever receive. This community, what I want to say, Natalie, thanks for sharing. Makeda, thanks for sharing. That is the power, right? And Natalie, I don't think Natalie's been in WealthyU maybe 8 months. We met at a conference. But let me tell you the secret to, I got to let you know, the secret to Natalie and the secret to the women that get further faster is they take action. I ended up in the wrong room with a bunch of State Farm agents thinking I'm at some reception. And I say to Natalie, so Natalie, I tell her what I do. Oh, I love what you do. We're going to get together. I said, well, here's my card. Natalie was on my calendar that week. Natalie joined, right? Now, there were several other people, and you know this, Natalie, another one joined, Take Action. What I want you to know is that action takers are money makers. Don't overthink it. The bottom line is you have to begin to have a mindset of return on investment. And that's the best thing my coach ever taught to both my husband and I, is that you cannot look at things as an expense. You have to look at it as investment and how you can get a return on investment. So how many of you would like to invest $5,000 and a year later have $50,000 more? Is that a good return on investment? How many of you, some of our members who've been with me for years have invested $50,000? How would it feel to invest $50,000 and have 7 figures? Would that be a good deal? Would that be a good deal? So what I want you to know is so often we are stepping over dollars to get to pennies. Some of y'all need to hear this. So I'm gonna put on my straight with no chaser tonight. All right. Some of you are stepping over dollars to get to pennies, and you're looking at everything as an expense, and you're thinking, well, I can figure all of this out on my own. If you could have figured it out on your own, you would have done it already. Ladies, you are missing out on millions. And imagine, look at Nat. Natalie's like, I'm here to tell you, right? Like so many of you are saying, if only I had started earlier. So don't let that be you. I do want to end with this. It's so for that, because I skipped it, I skipped expansion. So here's what I want all of you to know. For all of you who are looking back in the rear view mirror of financial regret, thinking that I don't have enough time in front of me to make a difference. Here's what I want you to know is that when this retirement idea was created, our mortality was 65 years. They did not think we would collect it. They thought we would be dead at 65. All right. And now I just had my good friend. She's an amazing, smart woman, travels all over the world. She said, Deb, you have got to read this book. And the book is 100-year life, right? So I would just want to expand your mind for a minute. If you're 50 and you still have 50 years ahead of you, do you have time? Do you have time? In the chat? Put yes in the chat, okay? If you're 60 and you got 40 years ahead of you, do you still have time? If you're sick, even at retirement age, if you've got 100-year life, do you still have time? So what I need for all of you guys to understand, and why I have such an urgency around that, is the risk is not dying too soon. It's living too long. So you cannot afford. That's right. That's right, Maddie. Tell them. Maddie building her portfolio at 77. You better tell somebody, all right? And Maddie, I think you're on your 3rd cycle, almost 3-year cycle, right? And just to see what she's been able to accomplish. So, you know, we run the gamut. We've got women in here as young as 30, 35, on up to retired to 77. And I know that made Janet feel good too. So listen, age ain't nothing but a number. But what I want you to know is you are out of time. Let's take action. Let's see who joined tonight. Who did the Legacy Wealth Blueprint event? I want to give you a shout out. If you joined, I want to give you a shout out. Yeah, that's right. Give Maddie some definitely. Who joined the Legacy Wealth? Who's doing the virtual tonight? If you didn't join, if you are not in on the virtual event, all right, Kim's in virtually. That's right. Who's next? Who's next? You guys need to stop overthinking this. All right, Deneen joined. Okay. Who else? So I can give you a shout out. Felicia said, that's right, I'm joining virtual. Who else is joining us? Listen, I can tell you that your return on investment, Felicia, that's great. Maddie does look amazing, doesn't she? Okay, Rhonda Anderson's doing virtual. Listen, ladies, I don't want to leave anybody behind. If I told you how much the investment in making this thing go virtual, I mean, we literally have monitors and wires and computers and this and that, several $1,000s because we didn't want to leave anyone behind. But I can't do it. We can't do it for you. Like virtual, Rhonda, okay, I'm bringing my daughter too. That's right. Who else? Who else? So listen, you still have time. And the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is not only will you come to the event, but after the event, you are also going to have an opportunity to join me and really come up with an action plan for what you learn, right? So in WealthyU, we believe that knowledge is not power. Knowledge correctly applied is power. What's the site to join? The event was the link is in the chat. And all of you, when you join, you will get an email, you will get the ebook, you will get the Zoom link, you will get all the things so that you can be in the house.
To join WealthyU?
No. Okay, so it's all there. And okay, my husband made a good point. For those of you who want to jump the line, and you just said, listen, Miss Owens, I don't need to come. I'm gonna come to the event, but I need you to join WealthyU. Guys, put the link in the if you just want to join WealthyU and you want to have a conversation with me, guys, put the bit.ly Wealth Ignition link in there. Actually, you know what you need to do? All of you, even those of you who are coming virtually, fill out this form, the Wealth Acceleration form. Let me just find that really, really quick. If you are loving what you're hearing and you want to know, okay, what do I need to do to get started? I just want to make sure you have an opportunity. So all you're going to do is you're going to fill out this form. And then we're going to reach back out to you. Most of you, if you were in the pre-event, filled out this form and really chat with you about the things that, you know, which one of our programs can be of the best, can help you accelerate the fastest. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Oh, Denise says, please call me. Okay, Anita, please, let's reach out to Denise. Anybody who does want us to get in touch with them because you're like, okay, you heard Natalie, you heard Makeda, you're like, I don't need to go to just this event. I want to get into what you're up to. Yes, you can put your information. In fact, put the information in the chat. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me this evening. Thank you for joining me for Wealthy You Wind Down Wednesday. I got to get my energy up. I'm going to have to take some emergency, all of the things, right? So that for 3 days, because we're going to have fun. Reception on Friday, dancing all day. Saturday night, the DJ's coming back. We're going to do some fun line dancing. That morning's going to be a kickoff, a VIP breakfast, and we can't wait to connect with all of you in the community, all of the folks that I'm going to be meeting in for the first time in person. I got to tell you how grateful I am. Imagine having a dream like this, that you could bring women together and you could also teach them how to give them access to the same information, the same insight that the very wealthy have. The same information that is usually only reserved if you're considered high net worth, and that means you have investable assets of $1 million or more. You get that right here in Wealthy You. And I can't wait to see our next dish. And you saying, I did this, I got a higher return. So with that, guys, good night. And I look forward to seeing you this weekend, either virtually or in person. The music just goes on.